The snow fell quietly, blanking the forest in a serene white hush. Rachel and Tom had chosen this remote cabin for the Christmas getaway, a cozy little retreat nested deep within the forest that stretched for miles. Around them, the cabin was warm with the cracking fire and a hearth holiday light strung around the windows, and the smell of fresh pine filling the air from the tree they've decorated together. They were looking forward to a peaceful Christmas away from the noise of the city. As night fell, the calm of the forest started to feel a bit different. Shadows lifting across the snow outside, and then howling wind sent chills through even the warmest parts of the cabin. They tried to brush it off, enjoying hot cocoa by the fire and exchanging gifts. But every so often, Rachel would glance out the window, feeling as if someone or something was watching them from the dark. Tom laughed it off, teasing her about the Christmas spirits and blaming the eerie feelings on her isolation. He wrapped his arms around her, brushing her worries aside. But as the clock struck midnight, the unsettling quiet of the forest was shattered by a loud echoing scratch against the cabin's wooden door. Startled, they froze. Tom got up, his face tightening with a hint of concern. "Now probably just an animal," he said, though his voice held uncertainty. He grabbed the flashlight and opened up the door slowly, shining it into the darkness. Snow glistened under the moonlight, and there were strange tracks twisted and clawed, leading from the tree line to their cabin door and then disappearing as if whatever it was had just vanished. Rachel shivered, clutching a blanket as Tom shut the door, but no sooner had he turned his back to her than they heard it again. This time a deep, grating laugh that echoed around the cabin. The laughter was sinister, almost mocking, like something cruel hidden beneath the holiday facade. "Who's out there?" Tom shouted, his voice shaky. Silence returned, then the laughter came again. Closer this time, followed by a sinister voice that hissed, "What's Christmas without a little mischief?" Rachel eyes widened. "It can't be," she whispered, dread filling her voice as she remembered the stories her grandmother used to tell her. A being that despised, that cheered of Christmas, lurking in the shadows of the holidays, waiting to snatch away the joy. The Grinch, but not a playful character they seen in the movies. This was something older, darker, a creature born of bitterness and envy, twisted beyond recognition. Lights in the cabin flickered, and then with a sickening pop, they went out entirely. The fireplace dimmed, leaving out the faintest glow as shadows closed in around them. A scratching sound came from the roof now, like claws dragging across the wood. Then heavier footsteps circling, closing in. Rachel clutched Tom's arms, her heart pounding as they backed towards the corner of the room. The sound stopped, replaced by an eerie, chilling silence. And then there it was, a face peering through the windows, twisted and horrible. Its skin was sickly green, stretched tight across sharp bones, with eyes that glowed yellow in the dark. Its mouth curled into a grin, far too wide, exposing crooked, jagged teeth. This was no cartoon character. This was a nightmare in green fur and hate-filled eyes, exuding a bitter malice that seemed to suck the warmth out the air. "Thought you could have a merry little Christmas, did you?" it snurred, its voice a twisted blend of mockery and rage. "There's no room for joy here, only fear, only blood." Tom, mustering every ounce of courage, grabbed a poker from the fireplace and lunged toward the door, hoping to scare it away. But as he threw open the door, he found nothing there, just an endless, dark, and untouched blanket of snow and silence. Suddenly, a force struck him from behind, knocking him to the ground. Rachel screamed as she saw the creature standing over Tom, its clawed hand reaching toward him. But before it could touch him, she threw a heavy log from the fireplace, hitting it square in the face. The creature snarled, recoiling, its eyes burning with fury. "Away from him!" she shouted, her voice breaking. The creature's grin widened. You think you could stop me? It whispered, its voice a sickening hollow echo. I am the end of your joy, the shadow of your holiday. The cabin filled with a freezing wind as it lunged towards them, its twisted hands outstretched. But then Rachel noticed something. A string of Christmas lights laying across the floor where Tom had dropped them earlier. In a desperate move, she grabbed them and flung them at the creature. The lights wrapped around it, catching and tangling, and suddenly it shrank, it from form flickering like a candle flame. The creature twisted and writhed, trapped in the lights, its form fading as it shrieked. You cannot escape me! I will return every Christmas! And with that, it vanished into the darkness, leaving behind only a faint, sickly smell of pine and sulfur. Rachel and Tom collapsed onto the floor, breathing heavily, their hearts racing. The silence returned, the cabin once again still and quiet. The fire rekindled, only its own bathing the room in a warm glow, as if the whatever dark presence had been banished from the night. They stayed close together, their fear gradually giving way to relief, though they knew that Christmas would never feel quite the same again. Outside, the snow began to fall once more, covering the strange tracks with a fresh, innocent layer, as though hiding the horror that hunted their holiday night. But they knew deep down that somewhere in the shadows, a twisted grin was waiting until next Christmas, and that hunt them, and it hunt them for the rest of their days.